Well, I'm curious to know if you think about this the way I think about it. And I got angry, kind of watching this. I'm sure a lot of people do who are going to watch this film and those who will watch it because what you see is that we have this good scientific data regarding harm. The companies know it. You kind of debunk the fact that it increases costs by going natural. During the film, there's taste tests. People can't really tell the difference, right? Or it's difficult, or the natural product is actually tastes better. So it makes me believe we're under attack. Like we're
Mm.
being poisoned purposefully. Is that your conclusion?
Well, I mean, possibly. Another possible scenario is that, synthetic dyes make our food look brightly colored. And so I think as a marketer, it's easy to sell, especially to these children. Children love brightly colored foods. And so many of the synthetic dyes on our shelves are in children's products. So I think they know their audience. I think children like brightly colored foods. And realistically, whenever we spoke with manufacturers that avoid synthetic dyes, it is very difficult to get a cohesive, like if you have a strawberry protein shake, you use real strawberries. Every batch of strawberries is going to look slightly different. And so we as Americans, we're used to our products looking exactly the same and cohesive and perfect and beautiful. And like we've forgotten what real food looks like. And so, oftentimes manufacturers will choose an artificial flavor, like a cherry or a strawberry artificial flavor, which is colorless. And they've created this protein. And then they decide to use the synthetic dye to make it look like a strawberry instead of actually using strawberries. And so I think we've gotten into this habit of using fake things like flavorings instead of actually like real food. And so I think it's just easier and I think it's cheaper. And, we have seen in our advocacy work that the Beverage Association, the Confectionery Association, they will fight for pennies. They will fight and fight and fight and fight, and they'll lie and they'll lie and it's. I honestly think it has a lot to do with money. And
Yeah, I think
even though it's not gonna be, they are not gonna charge us more money. It might cost them a little bit more to have real strawberries versus like synthetic dyes or a byproduct of petroleum, very very cheap compared to like a turmeric or spirulina. It's going to cost them slightly more. I mean, for the consumer, we have not seen any evidence it's going to cost us anymore. In contrast, actually, if you compare Fruit Loops brand cereal to an Aldi brand Fruit Loop, which is synthetic dye free and doesn't contain high fructose corn syrup, you compare the prices and Aldi's like $2 cheaper. So they can do it. They can. I don't see Aldi not making a profit. I see Aldi's popping up everywhere. They can do it. It's just this lie that it's going to cost consumers more, but it's just more of an inconvenience for them. And so, I mean, maybe it's something deeper than that, or maybe it's just they're cheap and lazy.
I think too. I think these big conglomerates and these big food companies have grown so big, and it's become, they have shareholders. It's all become like about the bottom line. And so anything that's gonna affect that bottom line is an issue. Like when you said they'll fight for it, and they'll push and push and push. Luckily, I think what's kind of happened over the course of these past 6 months are, in these states that you've seen, like West Virginia and Utah, all these states that have actually had legislation move forward. A lot of those states, we were a part of that conversation. We were brought into West Virginia to help out with that
To
and to
testify.
testify. And then because of that, we were able to bring in a lot of the experts from the film to testify as well. And I think that gave us an edge in a lot of those states because you had these experts who actually know this science like the back of their hand, and they were able to poke holes in everything that these like associations had to say. And so that was really powerful. We saw these legislators get the real information and the truth and make the right decision. And so
Oh, well, and that's a very good point. Like these associations, they're literally spending money and sending people to lobby. And a great example of the corruption is in West Virginia. West Virginia was the first state to ban it in the entire state.
The only one so far.
And it was actually, not to brag, but it was inspired by the documentary, which is just kind of a full circle, beautiful, like it's so worth it for us, like so incredible. But okay, so the bill has passed the House and the Senate almost unanimously. Support from Democrats and Republicans. This is a mega majority Republican state, but I remember specifically a Democrat stood up and was like, this is the kind of legislation I can get behind. Like everyone cares about people. And it was just so moving and powerful. Well, it's sitting on the governor's desk, and the Beverage Association spends $19,000 on radio ads saying, we're not going to send food to West Virginia. Your shelves are going to be bare. We're going to take our factories out of West Virginia, making these nasty, evil, almost like threats that they're not going to, well, hopefully they won't actually do.
Essentially saying that West Virginia is such a small state that these companies are not going to make a special product for you. If this legislation passes, your grocery shelves are going to be bare. Like Whitney said, one of the delegates, like they were threatening to pull jobs out of his district. So he, to keep him from getting reelected in the future is like really weird and crazy stuff. And and we're talking, the Beverage Association. This is just like, I mean, I guess you think sodas, but realistically, like when you're talking about PepsiCo and things like that, they also own tons of food companies and things like that. So it's a pretty big deal. So it's been really interesting. I mean, we heard when we were doing the film from the interviews that lobbyists were a big issue with why we're not getting any movement. But we've seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they'll spend money, and they have so much more money.
Well, in contrast to like us, like we're paying money to travel there, like out of our own pockets, out of just for the cause. But when we approach certain nonprofits, like, can you cover this scientist's pay or this scientist's like travel to get here? Like no one has the money to do that, but these associations have so much money. And it's just like, we are just like this group of like ragtag, like scientists and random parents coming together to like say the truth, because when these bills, when you have a bill on the table, you really only have a few minutes to persuade this group of people and to teach them everything they need to know about synthetic dyes so they can make an accurate decision. That's a really difficult feat.
A lot of times they'll give you 2 minutes to talk and they will cut you off.
Yeah,
you have 2 minutes to speak and they will like, your time's up. And so it's an interesting process.